And I would explicitly just, make sure that I reinforce that with every lesson. Make sure, you guys, when we have tens, that we want them to be connected. They're always connected because they represent 10, and then the individual ones are the ones that belong in the ones category.
Right.
But yeah, the exposure, of course.
For the next one, the comparing numbers, that's like number 5, number 3. Yeah,
Which
number
standard?
5, comparing, MBT 3.
Thank you.
And that is comparing numbers
Using the symbols.
using the symbols, sorry, yeah.
Any
And
comment?
4 lines.
And 4, oh yeah, and that's part 4.
I thought because they weren't exposed to the greater, less than,
The
equal
symbols.
sign, the symbols,
Yeah.
then they didn't quite understand what to really do with it. So, because we never
Yeah.
discussed
Expose
that.
them to it.
Yeah, before this unit test.
Do you guys still do like the alligator mouth and
That's
the,
what we're doing.
okay.
Yeah, we're going
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember learning that myself,
Yeah.
but it was helpful, eating the bigger number
Yeah.
and those strategies.
Ironically, a few of my students already knew the sign, like Marquise from last year in your
Oh,
class.
yeah.
Larry is like awesome. He already knew it. A few, Alicia. So they already had that exposure to it, I guess. So they were like, okay, we understand what to do. But the rest of the kids kind of just wrote the number again
Yeah,
in the
there's
circles.
numbers.
Oh, I see, yeah. So let me,
Pictures, and I was like, that's cute, but no.
let me ask you guys, because I know you guys were here last year. Do students typically get that symbol, like, right, if that's something that takes a while for
It takes
students
a
to
while.
get, or do they typically get it?
Once you explain the alligator,
They get
They
it.
pick
the
up on
ones
it.
who know greater and less though,
Right.
that was another.
So that's not really a difficult concept
They
for
pick
them?
up on it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So it's just the exposure?
You gotta expose them to
The
it.
only
Which
problem
is-
some of them might have, is if they don't know their right and their left, they don't know if it's going to the
Oh.
middle, between the right and left. But that's not all of them. It's a prerequisite skill.
So let me ask you,
all of them.
with those students, what could you do to address that skill so when they have the test, they don't get that they don't have that misconception?
When I work in my small group, because I introduced that concept in that previous unit too,
Mhm.
greater left, as an exposure thing. So when I was doing that in the small group, I said, okay, show me your right hands. Put it here. Okay, what's the greater number? It's the greater number.
Yeah, making
Put it
that
where- Put
association.
your right hand where the greater number is.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I will also say use it, intertwine it with science, social studies, and other content area. If you're working with a small group, keep that same left-right. If you're going over identifying objects, solid objects, grab it with your left hand, grab it with your right hand, and just making that connection across the curriculum. Any other?
One more standard is MBT 5, and that is number 6. Or I'm sorry, were you asking any other misconception or standard?
Oh, standards.
Standards, yeah, MBT 5. And that's number 6. And that's adding and subtracting multiples of 10. This one was tricky for them.
How so?
Well, so it's saying there's 56 students, 10 left, and then 10 came back. So it was a little bit tricky for them. They were trying to count on 10 and need to count back or use a hundredths chart, but it was just a tricky
So let me say
skill for them.
tricky in the sense of the language.
Tricky in the sense of they had to first
And the
add
vocabulary?
10. No, they just had to add 10 and then take it back away. No, it's like more like a multi-step problem.
Okay.
That was
Step, yeah,
Yeah.
multi-step.
It's like they already have a hard time following two-step directions,
Mhm.
but to throw this at them was kind of like, okay, what?
Multi-step problem.
So how could we plan for that? What would that look like in instruction?
Small
More
groups.
practice, yeah, multi-step.
And like
Also, when we start doing addition and subtraction, to bring that problem back again, so they can know when to add and then when to subtract. And then my children, they have problem because they look at the chart
Mm-hmm.
and then they know like this is the 56, and then I told them 10 students left, and then I saw some of them were going up, and then when they said 10 students go more, they were doing up. They were looking at the chart to find, whereas they're looking at patterns. pattern of the chart, so that's why they're having a problem for that.
Yeah.
They were already exposed to adding and subtracting because we were teaching them how to do that with the tens and the ones, and also with the coins. But I think this was just a little bit, I think
It's the multi-step.
yeah.
Because you had to add 10.
So let me ask you,
And subtract 10.
They're like, sorry.
Or maybe not add and subtract, but you had to add a group of 10, I guess I would say. It's not necessarily like I need to do 56 plus 10, but it's like
Yeah,
56 and 10 more. So they should know that 50 and another group of 10 is 60.
so the more,
There's
cause
still some
I,
ones left.
second grade has the language of more, in addition, do you guys have that, the vocabulary?
Not
as
this
well?
unit, not this
More,
unit,
less.
that's unit 3.
More or less in some of those words?
So
Oh,
I
but,
think the verbiage
And
needs
more
to be
games.
used.
yeah, the verbiage,
And
cause it seems like they can do it independently, like, identify this amount and this amount, but then when you say minus this, or what was the verbiage, the question you used, vocabulary?
Left,
Less,
ten left,
They left
10
and they
students
came.
left the cafeteria and went back to
Yeah,
class.
that 10 students left and then 10 more came.
came back.
Or 10 students came. It doesn't say more or less. It just says 10 students left and then 10 students came.
so they can identify that it was initially 10 students, but then when you say X amount left or so many came, you think that second part really throws them off?
It throws them off because it's like they need to first figure out, okay, 56 and then I need 10 more. Okay, now I need 10 less.
Mhm. And I think a part of that also the vocabulary, less and more, putting it on to that two-step problem. But what would that look like in instruction also?
I think when you're instructing them, you gotta probably show them that you have to pause
Yeah.
and, draw out your tens and ones, and then, even while you're reading it, and then pause and be like, okay, soon as 10 students left the cafeteria, allow them time to take away 10, and then pause some more, and allow them time to kind of, figure out the problem.
And even with that, I would say initially, use bodies, use actual students, and say we have 10 right here. I would say make it visual, something that can actually where they're actually up in front of the class or wherever you're doing it.
Oh, that's a good
Actual students here. We have 10 students here. You can have some stand by the door. 5 more joined our group, or 5 more joined our center. 3 more went to this station or that center, tying the vocabulary into actual students being there. And then some of the ones that are higher, I would, that can read it or actually listen to it, allow those students, as in differentiating, those students that can understand the verbiage of it and reading it, or maybe not reading it, but they can understand it on their second level, then possibly do that. But I would initially start off with having a group. This could be a hook for you guys, an opening activity before you actually delve into breaking it down to the students. But
And then I was thinking about what Ms. J said, and a lot of it is like also back to the hundreds chart, so like 56 and 10 less is like going up, and then
Down,
10
yeah.
more is going down. So, because the chart is here and it says explain how you got your answer on the chart, so they can use that as a manipulative. So,
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Also, use the 100 chart. 56 students was in the cafeteria, 10 left. So where's the pattern of 6? Look at the pattern of 6. 10 left, you go up. So what number is that? 46. And then 10 more, where we go? You go down. 56 back again. So use the chart because this is a tool we learn to use. The 100 chart is 10 more practice.
And also the explanation. I don't know about your kids, but they can't string together sentences too well. Like, how we,
that was an issue.
how would we, how
It's
would
always
we
address
explain?
that.
Yeah, explain how you got your answer in words. Or,
yeah, and that's
or in the chart. Oh, okay.
yeah.
that's
Well,
pretty difficult even on for the upper grade students as well. Articulating how you came up with that answer.
Can
Well,
we give them
when
a
I-
sentence starter?
well, when I went to my,
STEM, I would say, yeah.
when I went to a math training, we were talking about the explaining, because that's like a thing across like all of South Fulton. They were saying just try to have, like, you model as a teacher, so like if we're doing a mini lesson on, adding 10 more to lesson, you can say, 56 is 10 less than 66, and I know that because, whatever. It has one whatever, or like it has one less group of 10 or something. But like, modeling your thinking out loud so that when they start explaining it themselves and then making them explain it themselves, and then once they can explain it themselves, then they'll start writing it.
I would
But
say,
it takes time and it takes modeling and guiding them into like scaffolding, so.
I was gonna say, during that I do, we do, you do portion, like when you're doing that we do, or even when you're having students, turn and talk to your neighbor and just, walk around and see, can they articulate whatever it is you just, did in front of the students. Or even if you're doing a spiral review to, gauge if they're retaining the information, whatever you guys went over, say Unit 1 or early in the year, and you want to make sure that they're retaining information, turn and tell your neighbor, or explain it to your neighbor about this, and just walk around and just listen to some of those conversations, because, making sure that they gain ownership of it by being able to explain it. But it's just one of those things, again, not just South Fulton, but across all of the grades up into 5th grade. But the more the exposure, the more, they're able to, gain proficiency in the area. But you're articulating your answers.
Okay. So now I guess we can list what.
Well, there's the money standard.
Oh,
It's gonna be
where's that one?
How deep does it go?
This one is in some pages.
Identifying coins?
County.
Count,
Dimes and pennies
the
together.
dimes and the pennies.
Number
Did
8.
they all really just
They
bomb
count-
that section?
They counted, they didn't bomb it, they were able to
They
count
know
it.
to come by.
So
They
they
say five.
identified the objects?
They identified the number but not the value.
Okay.
So we had to teach them the value
And
of
it's
the
mixed
coin.
up, there's
Right.
a dime here, a penny here, and then there's a
And
dime
then dime
here.
at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Even though I was like, okay, the coins are not all pennies, they still kind of couldn't differentiate when they was a
And
dime.
I've heard that before with another grade, students being able to understand the value of money.
because they want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which they did,
Yeah,
which is
that's
correct.
a lot of them.
You got 5 and 2, but it's just like we need to understand the value of the coins.
So how would you guys address that?
Well, I tried to relate it last standard, because it's like, this one and the last one. But I tried to relate it to the 10s and the 1s, so I showed them that a penny is basically a 1, and a dime is a 10. I showed them how you can have 10 pennies change to a dime, but they're still working on it.
And I was gonna say, 1st grade, what if you guys had like a little store activity or something? Things that are just like below 15 cents, where they have to identify a dime and like pennies, 1 through 5. So this object is 12 cents. So that means you need to give me a dime and 2 individual pennies. And just, just an activity where they actually have exposure to buying something. And I know probably getting change would be,
Yeah.
later on. But just the initial,
Second grade.
give me 2 nickels for this object. Just a mock store or something. Any other,
I have a little song on the theme of BINGO about money.
mhm.
I can't remember the word that I do. I'll try to find it. They can put it in my the highest one that made, they actually found all the points, and then they can add all the things and find how many they have to choose. So some of them are, we still practicing because I don't want them to forget it. But I pretty much keep practicing. I have play monies in the bags, and then they exchange with themselves. And then they always come, and I told them, remember, the confuse the nickel and the dimes.
Mhm.
The dime is very small, and then when you remember when dime, the DI means 10, you can't buy 10. So they know to come back 10 to you, and 10 is by 1.
And I was gonna say something really, really quick that came to mind. With our students, music seems to get them up and
Yeah, we got a
rolling.
little, sorry, I'm letting someone.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, if you guys took those objects and like had one enlarged, like on that side of the room, dime right there, quarter right here, penny right there, and a nickel right here, and put them all in the middle of the floor and said, when the music stops, I want you to go to whatever coin I call out. So play the music for a couple seconds.
Cute.
Go to the
Write that down,
pennies.
write that down.
That's good.
I'm keeping notes.
Okay.
But
You know they
something,
like to move.
the
Yeah.
movement, the
Right.
movement and the music.
Yes.
So do that as a maybe